Thank you. Hello, my name is Matt Weedle, and I am the State Events Coordinator. Our keynote speaker today is a passionate urban community leader and a consultant to educational institutions, health and wellness organizations serving youth and families, and the civic and business community. A graduate of Kansas State University, he is considered one of the first African Americans to be elected student body president on a predominantly Caucasian campus in the United States. He went on to become the youngest person ever appointed to the Kansas State Board of Regents at 24 and the chair of that board at 28. He has been a fellow for the study of the United States presidency and has served on an advisory commission to the Carter administration with Martin Luther King III and other prominent young African Americans. Most recently, he served as the president of Metropolitan Community College, Penn Valley in Kansas City, the president of Delta Upsilon International Fraternity, and the president of Junior Achievement of Middle America. Currently, he is the assistant vice president at Kansas State and president of the Center of Imagineering Leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce the keynote speaker for the 2015 session of the American Legion Boys State of Kansas, Dr. Bernard Franklin.
Good afternoon, white shirts.
Good afternoon.
Oh, you're going to do better than that. Good afternoon, white shirts.
Good afternoon.
There we go. I like it. Man, it's good to be with you. It's good to be here today as we begin to think about and talk about who we are as young men. I'm not going to approach this time as if you are high school sophomores or high school juniors. I'm going to begin talking with you like you're young men. Because I really need you to understand from this session on that your life has to change. You need to begin to think of yourselves in completely new ways. And I'm grateful for a program like this that allows you to begin to do that. We'll talk in a few minutes and I'll show some slides with you, but our world is changing. Nothing stays the same. So for a moment, we need to stop and just think about that. And then figure out what's my course, how do I get on target, how do I get to a place where I strive for success, and then move in there. So we're going to do that today. We're going to have this time to have that conversation. But first, I just want to welcome you to the greatest university in the country. Certainly the greatest football program in the country. You know, really, seriously, we're fortunate to have a number of outstanding universities in the state of Kansas, of which Kansas State is one of those. I hope you give us an opportunity and you'll look us over while you're here and have some questions for our state officials. It's been good to me. My undergraduate degrees from here, my PhDs from here. All four of my children have graduated from here, so I think we kind of know what we're talking about. Yeah, it's a good place. Well, friends, I want to approach you from a context that doesn't matter where you come from. Because I need you to understand, being from Kansas and being from small cities, sometimes we have the notion that we can't accomplish something. We can't be leaders. My parents picked cotton in Oklahoma. My dad and mom moved to Wichita, Kansas. My dad wanted to work for Boeing, but he never did. He ended up working for the post office. My dad sorted mail for 33 years. Sorted mail for 33 years. Did not have an opportunity like you're having here to learn, to grow, to develop, to do something else, to try something new. I, with my 6 brothers and sisters, watched my dad come home every day tired and frustrated because he did a mundane job. Making mediocre but mundane. I knew when I was knee-high to a grasshopper I was going to college because my mom and dad said, you will not live like we've lived. You must look better. You must think higher. You must want more. And so we did. So I came here, turned my life around. Kansas State University did. Turned it around. So as the introduction said, I got involved in student government, was one of the first African-American student body presidents in the country. ABC, CBS, NBC came to Manhattan, Kansas. Had a young Afro-American with a kicking afro. I know, you can't tell now, can you? Dude, I had a big afro, baby. It was on my shoulders. I'd pump it up every day. But yeah, I got involved here. Kansas State was good to me, and I think I was good to Kansas State University. I left here, went to work for AT&T, American Telephone Telegraph. Went right into sales. My account was TWA. Your parents might remember TWA, Trans World Airlines. You don't even know what it is, what I'm talking about. But I went right in as sales manager. Right out of school. No business, no finance, but a great gift of what I'm doing today, Gap. I can talk, bro. I can persuade you to do a lot of things. So, about halfway in, the governor called and asked if I was interested in the Kansas Board of Regents. I'm 24 years old. I said, sure, visited with my AT&T boss, and they said, fine. Then several months later, my brother called and said, my dad won't drive me to Atlanta. I'm not going to a Kansas school. My brother had issues. He wasn't going to follow the rules. So he ends up getting accepted to Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. Dad wouldn't take me because he didn't follow the rules. So Bra called and said, would you take me to Morehouse? I said, sure, never been to Atlanta, let's go. So we drove in our Nova all the way to Atlanta, get to the residence hall, and on his residence hall door is the name Greg Franklin and Martin Luther King III. Now, what did I tell you my parents did? They picked cotton. So my brother and I are on the outside of the dorm room having this conversation that we wouldn't, my brother wouldn't have Dr. King's son as a roommate. We're not Thurgood Marshall's son. We're not Jesse Jackson's son. We're not any of the famous people. We're just common, below average people from Kansas. Sure, my brother's going to get Dr. King's son as roommate. Well, friends, we go inside, and sure enough, it's Martin King III. Marty was warm, gracious, sweet man. Said, Bernard, where are you staying? I said, I'm staying at a hotel. He said, no. I want you to stay with my mom and my little sister, Bernice. Friends, it doesn't take a countryman long to realize he has an opportunity of a lifetime. He has an opportunity to go sit with somebody who knows the civil rights history right up front. So instead of staying 2 days in Atlanta, I stayed a complete week. And I stayed with Mrs. King and Martin's sister, Bernice. Revolutionary, life-changing, 25 years old. So from that relationship, she helped me get an appointment to the Carter White House to do a fabulous internship that turned out to be more than just an internship. Met a lot of the national African-American, Latino politicians. Life was just on the move. But my point for you, and I could go on, but I want to get to my slides. I just need you to understand that it doesn't matter what city you come from. It doesn't matter your county. What matters is your determination, your hard work, your ability to say, I'm going somewhere, I'm going to do something for myself. That's what this week will be about for you. It's not about laying around. It's not about being cute. I got you, bro. Bro sitting over here saying, it's about saying, I want to go somewhere. I want to do something. I don't want to stay in the same place that I'm in. So it doesn't matter where you come from. It's where you're going, where you're headed. What's your plan? How do you want to get there? So I ask you, where are you going? Where are you headed? The world is changing exponentially. And friends, I said I'm going to talk to you like you're an adult. I'm going to use words that you may not use commonly. Exponentially is probably not a term that you and your friends talk about on the basketball court. But friends, I say to students that I teach psychology class, teach leadership studies classes, there's no reason for you to not know what a word is today when you have Google. And so let me offer one more thing to you. Let me give you some advice here. Because I see some of you, I always leave home with cards. 3x5 cards. I always make sure I do. I always make sure I have a pen. Because I never know who I'm going to encounter that I might want to have contact with, or they may say something, or they may do something. Always 3x5 cards. Friends, this is what you want to do. You want to do some of the things that successful people do. And I think I'm successful. Cards, a pen, a highlighter, and a business card. Okay, you say, well, I'm not in business. I'm just a high school student. I fly often. One of the things that I share on my flights are business cards. So friends, at the end of this week, I want you to go with your dad or your mom to a print shop, and I want you to print some business cards with your name, your email address, and anything else you want people to know that's not already on your Facebook page. And I want you to pass those out, because you never know when you might run into somebody that just might need to know who you are. We live in a world where people dress down. I'm trying to be close to you all, but I fly often, like I just said. I come in contact with people from Google, people from Amazon. They wear jeans, and some of them you wouldn't even think are professional people. But I can often say, here's my card, man, because I'm in Kansas City, the first city where Google rolled out high-speed fiber technology. Give me a call. We were talking backstage about my life now. You know, I'm a few years old, but I'm in the process of thinking, what do I want to be 10 years from now? What do I want to be 15 years from now? I don't see myself chasing little round balls, and I don't see myself picking up shells on the seashore. All that's nice for a week or so, but friends, in terms of technology and where this country is headed, I want to be a part of that. And so I'm always ready, available for somebody in case I need to pass a business card on. So I want you to be too. The challenge for higher ed, the challenge for your high schools is we're preparing you for a world we have no idea of what's ahead. That's our greatest challenge. We can define it 10, 20, 30 years ago, but we don't know where we're headed. Well, just take a listen. Sorry, we can't watch all of it. Go home, Google it, you can watch it on your own. So what's so significant? Why would I play the Jetsons? You can talk to me. Why?
The future.
It's the future. What about the future? It's possibilities. Stop. For the sake of time, because I do have a time limit. Everything in the Jetsons has been patented or is in the process of being patented. Friends, I need you to stop for a moment and begin to think. This could be the new suburb. Oh, Franklin, you're being very, what's the word? Futuristic? Is it a true possibility? I'm not saying it is definite, But I need you to understand, when I visit with my Google counterparts, I'm on the mayor's task force in Kansas City on Google, how Kansas City rolls out its Google Fiber. We're having tremendous conversations about what Kansas City will look like in the next 10, 15, 20 years from now. Friends, we're having conversations about cars flying through the air. Governor Brown already signed into law legislation that California be one of the first states to produce flying cars. We have robots. Why isn't McDonald's and Burger King upset or really offering fringe benefits and higher minimum wage to employees? Why aren't, yes sir? Economics, part of it, yes sir. They know they can do away with the minimum wage people and roll out robots. McDonald's is right on the edge of rolling out robots that will eliminate high school jobs, eliminate minimum wage jobs. Friends, you must from this point on understand your world will not be the same. And you will manage that change. I came out at 24, went into AT&T. You will come out, you will manage projects. One of the things I like to do is ask people, how many of you in this room think you're leaders? Every time. 2/3 of you think you are, and the other third think you're not. Friends, you need to understand this. You will go somewhere where you might be privately will lead a team. The others of you will use your gab like me, and you'll lead more than a team. You'll lead organizations. All of you will lead in some fashion, some form, because organizations in America are changing dramatically. So it's about the intelligent. Not necessarily the strong, but those who are bright and intelligent and ready for the change. In the 1950s, about 70% of our folks, our parents, our grandparents, made a living some form of manual labor. That's not the case today. Today, the numbers are reversed. About 70% of jobs require some form of the mind on a regular basis. So friends, one of the issues I have with K-12 as an educator is that we're not creating in this country the kinds of creative talent that we need. We're asking you to regurgitate what your teacher gives you. We're asking you to do multiple choice and to do essay questions that really in some ways don't cause you to think. If America's going to be strong, if it's going to compete with China and Russia and that Japanese, we're going to have some young people who know how to think and are creative and can come up with new solutions. You know what Google is saying? In the sophomore, in the middle school, is the next generation of Facebook. I say to you, why isn't the next generation of Facebook right here? So many organizations are changing. Major shift in economic and political power. You see it all over the world. There's a major shift in all of this. So what are some of the key patterns that employers are looking for? Friends, I'll save this and give it to your leaders because I really want you guys to have it. You need to begin your senior year in high school putting some of this in place. Flexibility, creative thinking. You need to learn how to think. Creativity and innovation. Resiliency. What's resiliency? The ability to say, I failed, it didn't work, but get back up and try it again. Accountability. I take full responsibility for the things that I do, the things that I said that may be inappropriate. And then leadership. Tell you, all of us in this room, all of you, you say I'm quiet, I'm not really a people person. Friend, there's no one-room office building in America. In fact, we're doing away with office building, office rooms. We're going to be in cubicles, not high cubicles, but more waist-level cubicles where we all interact, we all see each other. So where do we go from here? I've come up with some terms, some things. I'm trying to keep it simple because I know we have a range of people in the room. But friends, one of the things I want to encourage you all to do is to eliminate the drama. Frankly, what are you talking about drama? You're in high school, and I'm trying to prepare you for your senior year and for your first year of college. Some of you are not reaching your full potential. You're hanging out with people who are not going anywhere. You're doing stupid stuff. You're putting stuff on Facebook that you don't need to see. I work in admissions here at Kansas State University. For now and then, we go look at some of your Facebook pages. I worked at a community college. At the admissions office, we went to look at your Facebook page. Friends, don't you get it when your parents tell you that you can't put everything on Facebook and then expect to get a good job or go to Harvard or UCLA or Kansas State University? It's just too much drama, too much stuff. Why don't we focus on the things that really matter in life? The things that will get us someplace. Come on, drama. Drama's messing with me. Eliminate those things that really don't matter. At the end of this week, I want you to look at your life and say, what do I need to eliminate when I get back home? What do I just need to stop? I need to stop hanging out with this person. I need to stop teasing this person because it's bordering on bullying. I just need to stop some of the silly stuff that I do that's really not manhood. That's really not going to take me someplace. I would be embarrassed. This is you thinking. I would be embarrassed if my high school counselor knew what I was like in my private moments. You need to eliminate those things that really don't matter and laser focus on academics. Say it with me. Laser focus on academics.
Laser focus on academics.
I mean that. You don't want me or somebody else to say you're 1 point below a full ride scholarship. And friends, it's getting tougher and tougher. Back in the day, I could have a 3.4 and get a good ride. 3.4 and a 22 is not going to do you a whole lot of good. Every one of you in this room, as a result, should be striving for. You should all say, I want a 32 on my ACT. Oh, I like it. Come on. All right, you want a 36? Well, I'm with you. I want a perfect score. And I want something better than a 3.2 grade point average. All of you, and I would embarrass you, I know if I did, if I'd ask how many of you have less than a 3.0 in this room. Can they get into this program if they have a less than 3? Okay. Friends, in this world, that's not going to get you where you need to be. You need to have better than a 3.5. Okay, that's a little high up there. The next point I want to make is I want to encourage you all to do some rule breaking. Now, understand with me. Rule breaking does not mean we exceed the speed limit. Rule breaking does not mean that the legal drinking age in Kansas is what? And I do what at 19? Okay, I'm not saying that kind of rule breaking. I'm talking about the things that we do that may be part of our culture, that part of our custom, part of my neighborhood, part of my county, part of my state, that we've been doing this way for the past 30 years. Break some rules, y'all. Do some things a little different. Expand your mind. I mean, somebody in this room needs to major in Mandarin. Mandarin is the hottest language in the world right now. America can't keep enough Mandarin-speaking college graduates. And people say, well, I'm from Kansas. We don't speak Mandarin in Kansas. Break a rule, bro. Go online and find somebody who's teaching Mandarin around the world. Break a rule. Be entrepreneurial. Now, entrepreneurial does not mean go start a business. That's one component. Entrepreneurial means seeing something that needs to exist but's not there and creating it. So maybe there's something in your high school. Last year I was at Junior Achievement and there was a high school that created a store. A store on the high school campus for students to go buy sodas and whatever else they wanted to buy. They didn't have one. Friends, there probably are things on your campus that you can work with your superintendent or your principal and come up with and maybe start a business or start something else that maybe doesn't necessarily bring in money, but it's something that you need. I want you to start thinking about what does not exist in America that I can help create. There's a Zuckerberg in this crowd. There's some smart talent here. to get to high school to create it. Go ahead and create it. Get it done. Get it over with. I want you all to be self-educating. What do I mean by self-educating? Learning on your own. Who is? Stand up. Where you at, man? Where? Full ride scholarship to Kansas State University. We'll talk. Friends, I'm astounded when people will ask me, what's exponential? I'm astounded when people come up to me and say, and believe me, it's happened, where's Mandarin from? Believe me, there is no reason for ignorance in our culture. I perform a Google search at least 1.5 hours, maybe more often. There's no reason for us to not be intelligent, smart on top of it. I read at least 5 newspapers a day: Kansas City Star, New York Times, LA, Chicago, Wall Street Journal, and Al Jazeera. Why Al Jazeera? Because I kind of want to know from a near point what's really going on in the Middle East. And friends, don't play games about what's liberal and what's not liberal. I'm smart enough to know to wade through whatever I need to wade through and get to the truth. Get to some level of fact. So Franklin, how do you read that many news? I read the first paragraph of the most important articles on the front page. Any journalists in the room? Journalists, what's with the first paragraph? It's the lead, it's loaded. It tells me everything I want, right? Who, what, when, where, and how. So if I need to go through the rest of the story, I can. But I often say, if I got to read down this page, that person's not a good paragraph writer. I need to know. So friends, we have a Congress that's not working, a shrinking middle class, problems with our earth, the atmosphere, and the water, and the land, in the midst of technology. And then if I were to break us up into small groups and ask you questions about any one of these, some of you would go, duh? There's no reason after this week for you not to say, I want to know about civic leadership. There's none. There's no reason. I want you to be so ready, so prepared. Friends, I like bonding. Again, I'm trying to use terms that I think you could relate to. I want you all to bond with some people who don't look like you, act like you, and come from the same neighborhood you come from. One of the things that I really regret on a lot of college campuses and high schools around the country is that we got black kids here, we got Latino kids here, we got the jocks here, we got this group here, we got that group there. I've never been part of that kind of scenario. And yeah, friends, my friends have called me Uncle Tom, and people can call me Uncle whatever they want to call me. But I love people. I love learning from people. I love experiencing people. One of the benefits of being a Franklin is when you graduate from high school, you go to a foreign country. I've taken all my children to a foreign country because I want them to see the world. I want them to bond with other people who don't look like them, experience life like them. And so friends, don't use this week to only hang with people who come from your high school. What good is that? You already know them. You know what they smell like. You know what they look like. You know what they drink. You know what they eat. Bond with some people who can help you grow. Because I'm going to tell you, one of the questions you're going to be asked somewhere in the next 5 years is to gather your impact, your knowledge base of other cultures, other people. And so come on, hang with me. And then revolutionary. Oh, I told y'all about my kicking afro. I was revolutionary back in the day. Big butt revolutionary. But friends, I'm not speaking about being loud and rowdy and burning up buildings and all that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about being so different, so distinct. What if your class, this group, created a path that no future class can outdo what you guys do this summer? That's revolutionary. That's what I'm talking about. You all do some things this week that will just wipe away any past records, any past accomplishments. Everybody says, man, that class, that summer of 2015 was the bomb. That's the kind of revolutionary I'm talking about. Be really different. Be visionary. Where are you going? Where are you headed? Have some idea. Sure, friends, visions change. But if I don't have a vision, I really don't move. In psychology, we help clients understand you move toward what you think about. You move toward what you spend lots of time and energy on. If I have no vision, friends, you won't go too far. Vision compels me. It gets me out of bed. It makes me think at 2 or 3 in the morning about how to do something when everybody else is slumbering and sleeping. I'm up because my vision is driving me. Get a vision for yourself. Get sight set on where you think you may be headed. And then, friends, I raise this because I'm concerned about men who look like me or who have hue like mine. I volunteer and I work at the Lansing prison system. And I've watched in the last 20 years how Lansing has gone from being about half Caucasian to now about 80% men of color. And I'm concerned. I'm concerned for this institution here because we're not graduating men of this background in healthy numbers. So, men, I don't want you to just talk about what's happened in Ferguson or what's happened in Baltimore. I want y'all to have some deep conversation with some of the brothers here and have them answer for you what it feels like. I'll tell you what it feels like for me. I slow down anytime I see a policeman. And I make sure in my car I have my ID with PhD on it because I want him to know I'm not a hoodlum. Because in America, we got a little bit too much of that. When it happens, I have 3 sons. I call each one of them and say, son, did you see Ferguson? Son, did you see Baltimore? When you stop by a policeman, I want you to shut your mouth. I don't want you to say one word. If he asks for your driver's license, I want you to give it. Part of what I want you to do is I want you to know what it's like in my skin for just one day. And friends, I've been all over the world. I can call anybody you talk about. I can call them. I have access to them. But it doesn't stop people who don't know Bernard Franklin from being suspicious. I just want you to have that feeling, that knowledge, because that too will help you understand how the larger world operates. Because it's not just all how I look at the world. There are other people too. So are you ready for your new world? Yeah. And for the rest of us, what hinders us? Fear, anxiety, no plan, or where I come from, all those kind of issues. Friends, I would give anything to be in this program, but be anything to be in these seats, to go where you all have to go, to a place that we can't fully define, but knowing that your children will probably not attend college at a university, but will attend college from their home. The next 5 to 10 years in America will be exponential change. Unbelievable. The Google house in Kansas City that they're about to open, every appliance is connected to the internet. So when I run out of butter, a code is sent to the grocery store that I have registered and keeps track of all the things that have run out in my refrigerator. At the end of the week, My grocery store sends me an email saying, your refrigerator indicates it's out of this, and this. Do you want us to refill it? If I indicate yes, my groceries are sent to me how? Drones. Friends, I think some of you are getting my drift. Our world is changing at such a rate, such a pace. There's so many things on drawing boards and about to be implemented that will begin to blow our minds in ways, and I'm saying, what's hindering me from being a part of that? What's hindering me from having a conversation about how I create something? So maybe it's a starved imagination. We're in a place where nobody's informing us. I don't know. But just understand, it doesn't matter where you come from. It really doesn't.
Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. While some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
So are you ready to change the world? Yeah. Friends, they've allowed me to have some conversation with you. We're going to have about 10 minutes now. Then there's some breakout sessions later. I want you to know sincerely, I care about you individually and as a community. And I want each and every one of you to be successful. I perhaps have some insights that I would be happy to share with you. So we'll take a few questions now and we'll have some deeper conversations a little later on this evening. Who has a question? Yes, right here.
If you were in our shoes right now...
Would you tell your brothers who you are, where you're from?
I'm Thomas Williams. I'm from Salina, Kansas.
Thomas from Salina. Question.
If you were in our shoes right now, what would you do as far as education in the future and going to college? What would you major in, or how would you go about your education?
It's a great question. I'm a strong proponent of strong Campbell entrance exam. Strong-Campbell, C-A-M-P-B-E-L-L. If your high school counselors haven't told you about it, I would suggest you do. I don't want to tell you what I would do, but I will tell you what some of the hot degrees are. The reason I said Strong Campbell is coming out of a poor family. I came to Kansas State with pre-med. My parents wanted me to be a doctor since I was knee-high, I'm serious, to a grasshopper. That's all I heard, because that was their perception of wealth and success. I arrived here, and in those days, physiology had a cadaver. And so my physiology teacher rolled out a cadaver, paired us up, and said, you two will know every blood vessel, every bone, every muscle in this person, or this cadaver. I stayed half a semester and left. Changed in the semester to pre-dentistry, trying my best to stay with medical doctor. That didn't work. Went to Wesley Medical Center. They didn't have a male candy strike program, so that summer I said, I want to do an internship at Wesley Medical Center so I could learn what other options there might be in medicine. Came back, majored in med tech. Finally went to the counseling center and was suggested that I take Strong Campbell. My strong Campbell came back high public speaking, high leadership, high political awareness. It was done. Went to have a conversation with my parents. I'm not going to be a doctor. I'm sorry, but my gifts and talents lead me to political science, pre-law, and a minor in Spanish. That's what I did. So I don't want to give you mine. I will tell you some of the hot degrees. Anything engineering, anything medicine, and especially marrying engineering and medicine, med tech, medical technology, anything technology. But I don't want, and the reason I tell this, I don't want my English, I don't want my historians, my philosophy, I don't want you to say no, because we need you as much. What I want you to understand in your gifts and talents is I don't want you to be driven by money. I don't want you to be driven by success. It doesn't matter what you have. It's who you are. And when I wake up in the morning and I'm happy with myself, and my parents see I'm happy, usually when I speak, I dedicate my presentation to my grandfather. Because my grandfather in the hot country, he was the one labeled to be a doctor. And so I usually dedicate in the spirit world to my grandfather and say, Grandfather, I didn't make medicine, but I got the PhD. What I want to encourage all of you is to find your personal gifts and talent. Find what really turns you on, what really gets you excited, and then see how you can put those hot degrees around that. I would encourage you all to take a language. America is the only country that does not demand its high school graduates to have a second language. If you want to go anywhere in the world, I would do a language. I would do Arabic. I would do Mandarin. I would be cautious about Spanish or French or some of the others because we have an abundance of people in those degrees. But if that's what you prefer, that's who you are, then man, don't allow data to drive your personal decision making. All right. A long way around answering your question. I'm not an engineer. Engineering's hot. I'm not medicine. Medicine's hot. I'm not med tech or engineering, so I'm not going into med tech. I'm a liberal arts kind of guy. I'm a public speaking kind of guy. I didn't go to law school, but baby, I wish I were younger. I'd go to law school right now. Does that help? Okay, next question. Yes, back up here with your glasses on. Where are you from?
I'm Reed Russell. I'm from Larned, Kansas.
Larned? Yes, sir?
Do you have any tips on increasing charisma in public speaking?
Man, you have to enjoy this. There are people who come up to me who say, how do you do that? I love this. I love public speaking. I love putting together a presentation that I think stimulates. But you have to like this work. You have to like what you do. But tips, you need to read, man. You need to read so you're fresh. You're current. You know how people think. You know what works for an audience. Those are good tips, but do it if it's you. If it's not you, friends, don't do it, please. You've been to too many chicken banquets with a speaker that can't speak. No, time out. Doesn't work. If it's you, we'll talk afterwards. Next one. Yes, sir. Topeka.
You talk a lot about technology. I was listening to this talk about how older people like what technology advertise stuff to older people. So do you think that we should advertise more things to older people because they're learning against actually?
He's talking about advertising to older people technology. Companies are what based? Consumer based, profit based. Who's buying gadgets? Who's buying iPhones? Who's buying?
I don't like iPhones, but all my grandparents, they have iPhones. Like, all older people I know, that's iPhones. So
Your generation, what we call the digital generation. if you have nieces and nephews, kids in your neighborhood, 3, 4, 5 years old, they are learning. If you go to our teaching lab. Teachers are teaching math and reading on an iPad. Kids are wired in a gaming way to use technology to learn that previous generations never even comprehended could happen. So companies are right to market to young people because that's the future of their buying. I'm going to be gone. I won't get an Apple Watch. I already have a Fitbit. I already wear a regular watch. Why do I need a third watch on my, I don't need it. But you might need it. So I have the money to spend and I'm just going to get every Google gadget that Well, I like the direction you go on, but it's just not marketing. It's not profitable. Go talk to Bezos and see who is Amazon's #1 customer. It's not 50s and 60s. Because most 50s and 60s want to go walk to the store, push their cart, bag their groceries, go home, and unbag them groceries. Y'all are a different generation. You want comfort, you want ease, you want convenience. And so they're going to market to you. All right, let me go back over in this corner. Yes, sir, right here. Right through there. Yeah, you, right there. Oh, both of you. Okay.
Recently, Kansas City, Piper High School. You mentioned that you met with the King family. I was wondering, any life lessons or personal experience you can share with us today?
Oh, Rob. Yeah, we got a chair. He asked if there were any life lessons from the King family. Dr. King was a hero. You might imagine anyone in my era, that would be a hero for us. So I'm on front row, front street, center stage with the heroinist from the Civil Rights Movement. The weekend that I was there, America went after Gaddafi. You all know Gaddafi? Yeah. You remember him? Yeah. We went after him many times. The first time was the weekend I was there. So I was able to watch Mrs. King as she answered the phone from heads of state from all over the world who called her first before they called President Carter. Because they wanted to understand how would Martin respond to America's aggression against a small country. And I was able to watch this calm, this professional, smart, talented woman answer each question, hang up the phone, and we have this dialogue, this conversation. So one of the poignant moments, man, the house is about like this. Maybe a couch and a chair. It's not decorated like me and your house. So immediately I'm saying, Mrs. King, how are you living? How are you surviving? And Mrs. King didn't know if I was going to run to the USA Today, if I was going to run to the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times. So she paused, and then she said, Bernard, if it wasn't for the Jewish community, any Jewish students present? Please stand. If it wasn't for the Jewish community, there would be no civil rights movement. Remain standing. There would be no civil rights movement, and I wouldn't be living. I wouldn't be here. Profound! She broke it down. Every time Martin was in jail, what poor person was going to pay his bail? Every city they went to, that the mayor or the governor would require expensive permits. Who's going to pay those permits? Who are going to buy poster material? Who are going to do all that, she said. She said, the Jewish community came forth. And so the other thing I do when I have time is I recognize my Jewish community. When you go back, and I want you to do some Google search for me, I watched a lot of the civil rights movement on TV. And I said, Mrs. King, I'm not understanding this. She said, Bernard, those counter kids, the kids who sat at Woolsworth counter were Jews. I said, Mrs. King, black and white TV, they look like white kids. She said, no, they were Jewish kids from the north. Go do your history. When you go back and you look at those kids who were killed in those bus vans that went from the north to the south, those were Jewish names, Jewish surnames. So my Jewish brothers, I applaud you, your heritage, your community that allowed a man like Martin Luther King to take a whole civil rights movement and make it happen. That's probably part of history you don't even know. But I want you to go home and I want you to have that discussion with your parents. If you're from Kansas City, I've spoken regularly at the temple about some of this. I appreciate you. Thank you for letting me put you on the spot. Great question. If I have time this evening, let's talk. One more question.
Bernard, may I interrupt you a moment? I would like to send my pledge cup from Bellevue Fraternity that you pledged to me in 1974.
Who are you?
My name is Kevin Curtis.
Hi, Kevin.
It's a ticket for me. I was 17 and I pledged to you. My son is here in this state conference. I would love for him to have a memento. If I could send my pledge cup to you to have you sign on the bottom of it.
Kevin, I'd be happy to. I'd be happy to. Thank you. I'd be happy to. Thank you. One last question. Yes, right here.
All right, my name is Julian Kincaid. I'm from Wichita. This is sort of a two-part question. One, how do I distinguish myself as an artist? And two, how would I distinguish myself as a leader in the art field?
Dude. I only say that because I don't have time to really take you through it. You can sit down, please. I appreciate you. Since my parents put a burden on me for med school, I refuse to put that burden on my children. I make sure my children search their hearts, took tests that help them understand their personality. My third son graduated from K-State in graphic arts. He's a graphic designer for some of the large PR firms in Kansas City. He and I have had this conversation. Why? Because he's not making the money my other two sons are making, but the other side is he's probably the happiest of my three sons. My point to you is to be as creative out of the box. I told you about breaking rules. I pushed my son to break rules. You will have professors, if you come here or if you go to KU or wherever, who have been out of work for 30 years. Meaning they're not graphic artists in today's market. They will give you a set of instructions about graphic art or about art that was relevant 20 or 30 years ago. They're not fresh. So you're going to have to develop a portfolio that is fresh, that's hot, that's off the chain. That's how my son was able to break the market in Kansas City, is that he didn't let his professors here define his portfolio. So you get internships, you do work, you're always asking. And man, if it's free, you don't care. You just need the experience. You need it in your portfolio. You ask your church, your synagogue, you ask the neighbors, you ask anybody, can I do some art for you? And you pile that into a portfolio. And then you put your suit on, bro, and you go marching into Kansas City or wherever you're going, like you know your stuff. And I promise you, you'll be hot material. Guys, I'm really honored to be here. Really, really honored. And I look forward to having some more conversations with you later. All right? Thank you.
I'd like to ask the staters of the 2015 session a question. You can exercise your right to vote right now. Would you like to make Dr. Bernard Franklin an honorary stater for the 2015 session of the Boys State of Kansas? By applause. Clinton. We'd also like to present you with this Boys State clock to thank you for the time you spent with us today.